All right, guys, welcome back to the Fresh
Squeeze.
Podcast. And if you guys are just now joining us and you have not seen the first episode yet, I'm gonna need you guys to go ahead and make your way down to the description, click on the link, enjoy those 20 minutes,
Man,
and then make your way on back to this one. And if you already went through those 20 minutes and you're here for some more of the Fresh
squeeze.
Podcast, then you're in the right spot. You're in the right spot. And let me tell you, we got some juicy stuff for y'all today. Got some juicy stuff. I'm really excited to get into these topics, man. We're going to be talking about each of our last seasons, first years out of high school, and, kind of the journeys that we both took. So I'm gonna let my guy Melvin start it on off, man. What was your biggest takeaway from your post grad year, man?
Um, man, I mean, to even start with that, I say the main thing is just as a hooper, you just gotta know you can hoop. Honestly, I mean, biggest thing is finding your identity. I say a lot of dudes come in and get molded by different people because they don't know, like they're not true to themselves of how they play. Uh, I felt like for me, I found out who I am as a hooper. Like usually if you're on the court and you ever feel like you can do more and you're not really like hooping how you're supposed to be hooping and you kind of getting held back, not necessarily by the people around you, but just like you're holding yourself back from, like you're like passing up stuff, or you're not fully going all out for whatever you're doing. It's just like there's another level that you need to unlock. uh, and to me, I think that's just mentally. I think this year I was able to grow out of the last situation I was in high school, and like compared to last year and this year, I'm a completely different player. Like, so I mean, if you want to take the post grad route or take a gap year or anything like that, I think I fully for sure I recommend it. Um, for me, it's just a lot of growth. Really, be able to just able to hold it in my craft. Honestly, um, hooping just got easier. You know what I'm saying? Like hooping is literally just all mental. The skill has always been there. It's just about you being able to put it in.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, for those of you guys who don't know, we were high school teammates. And man, I mean, uh I've watched your highlights, man. Watched your highlights. Those are also linked in the description, by the way. Check those out, man. My boy can put that thing in the cup, but he's an all around player, man. He does it all. So check the highlights out, man. He really is, putting in the work and it's showing, man. I mean, I've seen your development from high school to now, man, and it's really crazy. And yeah, man, it's just really good to see a good friend make the right decision and see it pay off, man, because you really deserve everything that's coming to you right now.
Nah, for sure. I mean, I feel the same way about you. I mean, I know there's a lot of questions going into like, your situation going overseas, like, especially at 18, like you ain't even stuck your foot in the water in the world yet, and you're going off and doing your thing over there. I mean, kind of go ahead and tell the people what your journey was like.
Man, roller coaster ride from the jump, really. Towards the end of the school year, I was still in contact with colleges, trying to, find my path, trying to get a scholarship offer. And it never really materialized, nothing I really liked came to fruition. And it was kind of frustrating, but I was willing to wait it out, and I was just staying in the gym. And, you know, um, as I said in the last episode, I'm half German, and am a part of the German national team program, and that was really what set this whole thing in motion with me. Going ahead and starting my professional career. Got in contact with some of the national team coaches, and they were asking me, what my future plans were, and
Mhm.
told me to consider. And it's crazy, in retrospect, it's really crazy, the sound of it. But they were like, please, just consider some of these professional teams over here, just let them talk to you and see maybe it's something you like. And I was super hesitant, man. It was super hesitant. I felt like there was a risk of me kind of getting trapped over there.
All right.
I mean, my ultimate goal is to play in the NBA, and yeah, I didn't like the risk factor, and I didn't want to be trapped overseas, But who was I? I was an 18-year-old kid, not really knowing what it was. So, got the call from a coach over there, and basically, without the paperwork, offered me a contract and a spot on the team. Was talking about obviously a salary and meal plan, a car, and an apartment. And man, I mean, I was like, whoa, like this is actually better than the NCAA, man.
Mm-hmm.
And because you're living basically an expense-free life. Uh, and you're getting a salary on top of that, man. So you really can't go wrong, and you're playing really a higher level of basketball.
Mm-hmm.
You're really playing a higher level of basketball. But so got off the phone with him, and I was like, dang, man, this is probably what I need to do.
Mm-hmm.
And that happened. That decision happened pretty quickly. Kind of switched gears, and I was like, all right, this is what I'm doing. I'm heading over there, and everything was great. Packed up, moved, moved, uh, moved my stuff to my grandmother's house, and was kind of using that as my base, as my training base to get ready for the season, which wasn't always easy either because in Europe, it's not as cut and dry here as it is here. You can't just get into a rec center and hoop against guys, or you can't just get into a gym and get shots up. It's not that simple. The insurance is different, and yeah, it's way different. On top of that, I get over there, and in Europe, this is something a lot of guys, because I get DMs all the time, man, look, I'm trying to get overseas. Do you have any connections for me?
Mm-hmm.
And man, trust me, guys, like I want to help as many people as I can, but that's really not, the area I can help in, because my situation in itself is already unique because I'm half German. And for those of you who don't know, in Germany and in other European countries, the teams only are able to have a certain amount of foreign players on the team. So as a full American, like in the league I was going to play in, you could only have one American guy per team. And when I got over there, they were thinking, okay, I'm going to count as a German and everything's going to be fine, So I was really, competing for my contract against other 18-year-olds, kind of making that jump, other German 18-year-olds. But I got over there, and there were some technicalities I'm not really going to get into that ended up making me count as an import player, which means now, instead of competing for a contract with other 18, 19-year-olds, I'm competing against guys who have 4 years of Division I experience, guys who've been playing professionally already 4 or 5 years, or even 2 to 3 years, grown men, 24, 25-year-olds. So they're, now they're comparing me, straight out of high school to these guys. And that really complicated things for me. And there was another thing. They weren't sure, was I going to count as an American import, or was I going to count as a European import?
Mm-hmm.
Because as a European import, you have a little bit more leeway because you can have as many European imports on the team as you want.
Mm-hmm.
And you can have, I believe, 2 imports on the court at all times. So that's it's better. It's better being a European import. But they weren't sure since, I'm half American, half German, if I was going to count as an American or or a European import after it was clear that I wasn't going to count as a German in that league. And that really, threw a monkey wrench into my plans. The coach was still like, "Hey, look, we want you. I want you. I'm gonna make it work." And that gave me a lot of confidence. So I was just kind of, just uh, holding still, just staying down, working hard, getting ready for the season, and not really worrying too much about it. Wasn't working the market. I was like, "Look, this is gonna work out," and July comes, and I mean, the preseason training camps start in August. July comes, and the coach hits me up saying, "Look, management won't let me bring you in." And I'm like, "Whoa," you know what I'm saying? This whole time I'm in Germany training, getting ready for the season, and now we're a month away from any training camps or anything starting up, and it's like, it's not gonna work. So I'm like, whoa, you know what I'm saying? It's really, really a reality check, and I don't really know what to do. You know what I'm saying? I have a certain amount of connections, but like all these roster spots I could have gotten in that time
Right.
are really starting to dry up. So it's like, okay, well, shoot, man, And on top of that, like I said, I'm competing against, guys who have 4 years Division I experience. So I was in a tough spot. I was definitely in a tough spot. Got to meet an agent who had a lot of connections, and he's been working with my dad as my agent, and they've really made a great team. They were able to pull some opportunities together for me, along with the German national team coaches, and eventually found a landing spot for me. And that was a whole nother experience in itself. But man, any other like were there any surprises that you really weren't expecting going prep? I know I rambled on there for a little bit, but that whole off season, that's just one big thing. But yeah, man, what were some unexpected things about going prep, and maybe what were some things that you heard about prep that were just completely false?
Oh man. Well, I mean, you're as far as your part on that. I mean, you straight, bro. Like, people need to hear. Like, I need to hear this, John. Like, this is what people are trying to do.
Yeah.
I feel like you giving us the real spill out there. You're not holding anything back with us. Uh, but as far as the prep year, bro, to describe it, it's unpredictable. But I feel like there's some things that are over overhyped in the sense that like people assume that it's like that and it's not. Like, you get there, people expect you to just necessarily be in the basketball world all the time, like 24/7, just constantly working on your game, all that type of stuff. The system I was in was just one of the better systems, better post grad teams in North Carolina, matter of fact. And we really like it wasn't that hard as far as player development. Like, it was really up to you at this point. Our coach really gave it up to us as men. We were all lived in the team house, so it was all up to us. Like, I was the second youngest. Yeah, I was the second youngest in the house, and I was 18. Um, so you got dudes in there. Obviously, you're the 18, 19, but you got dudes coming from all different types of countries and everything. But it was pretty strict. So that's one thing I would say, that you're just able to do that you're just able to do what you want. That's not the case if you get with the right thing, which might not be as fun for some guys, but like if you're focused, um, then you'll reap the benefits of it. I feel like for me, I'm anybody that knows me knows I'm super focused on my craft. So really, the strictness wasn't really that big of a deal to me. But as far as surprises, that was having it be strict was more or less one that stood out to me. On the other hand, I wasn't really surprised that we were playing like a lot of games. You expect to play a lot of games. It's just like honestly, it's just like AAU to everybody that plays that in high school. It's just like AAU. You come in and you meet your teammates. You know, I had teammates from Lithuania, Brazil, um, North Carolina, obviously, New York, New Jersey, Atlanta, uh, all cities around the world, all cities in different states around the world. Uh, so it's just it allows you to broaden your horizons for sure. I mean, it depends on the type of player you are and the type of person you are, whether or not you can grow and develop. But if you stay focused, I mean, that's all the year is about. I think it just allows you to take time, like really your own, like there's a lot of independence, which I say if you weight that from the post grad year into college, it's kind of equal. I would say it's probably I don't you can speak for this, but I would say it's probably as far as independence, it's similar to college in a way because you're on your own. So to me, it was different. Like your parents aren't around, you know, all the time. You got to call your parents if you want anything from them. So you're really your own man uh, on what you want to do. But you can speak on some more about how it is over there.
Man, I had two totally different experiences as far as level of independence.
Mm.
The first contract I signed was with a team in the Pro B League uh, in Germany, which is the second league, uh, B division of the second league. And, you know, a relatively new program, really relying on young players is what they told me coming in. And I felt like it was a good opportunity for me to prove myself. Very focused on player development as far as the facilities were concerned. You could get in till like 11 at night, which for like I said earlier is not just guaranteed.
Right,
So that was the spot I decided on. Especially by the time August hit, man, I was kind of done with the process, because you got to think like started junior year, you're going to AAU tournaments and all this, man. So that was like a whole almost 2-year process. It felt like, and I'm like, man, I'm kind of ready to get this over with,
right,
and this is a good place. I feel like where I can at least develop and have an opportunity to play in front of fans. Averaged about 1,500 fans per game, and that was packing out the gym that we played in. Which, man, I was like, hey, for a start, that's a great opportunity. Looked at the roster, I was like, I can definitely come in and earn some minutes. Um, but things aren't always exactly as they seem.
right,
It was man, it was an amazing opportunity for me to develop as a player. I learned a lot of things, about the process of being a professional there. Was able to spend a lot of time in the gym, which was great for me. It was a very high pressure situation because the team was struggling. The team was
right,
struggling, and so you really felt with each loss, you felt that pressure building. Because it's not the NBA, man. It's not the NBA. You don't just miss the playoffs and get a lottery pick.
hmm
Uh, Over there, man, if you miss the playoffs, you play in something called the play downs, and that's to determine if you stay in the league or not. So,
it's tough. Hey,
so if
uh,
you miss the playoffs, man, you fighting for your life. And while I was there, with each loss, we were like, okay, man, we probably gonna end up in these play downs, and nobody was happy about that. Nobody was happy about that. We even brought in a player that played my position in the middle of the season, and it was just tough. It was tough because I was working real hard in practice, playing really well in practice, doing things, I hadn't been doing before because I was, putting in the work, watching film, using that extra time that I normally would spend in school. And man, it was hard to break through because, you know, I was still 18, 19 years old, man. And like it was a very young team, but shoot, we got 39-year-olds on the team. I mean, my mom was 39. My oldest teammate was 39. Think about that, man. Like,
Yeah.
so it's socially and basketball wise, it was hard because especially as a new guy, new young guy, unproven talent, it's hard. It's hard, and it was really hard for me to really break through. And with the team struggling, more and more, I could kind of feel, all right, they're trying to kind of shift the blame on me, possibly.
Right.
And it was tough. It was tough. You can't blame them because I'm a new guy. The guy I was living with, my teammate, he was new, and they were just looking for a solution to the problem, man. And they figured, all right, well, these are the two guys we added. Maybe they're the problem, And
Mhm.
it was a difficult situation for sure. But by the time by the time Christmas rolled around, uh, we mutually decided to part ways, and it was the right decision on both ends because for me, I needed a situation to where I needed a situation where I could expand my game and get that valuable game experience that every young player needs. And
Mhm.
they were trying to do their best to avoid relegation and moving down a league. So they just had to do anything they could, and freeing up some import spots on the team, in their opinion, was the best move. And they got to do what they feel is best for the organization. So
Right.
mutually came to that decision, and my contract was structured to where it was guaranteed. The only way it could be terminated was if I was on board. So for me, it was a good thing, and I was able to move on to the next team. And there, we practiced a lot less. Actually, only practiced 3 days a week, and that was tough, man. That was tough. It
Yeah.
sounds relaxed and sounds cool, but I had way more time on my hands than I did with the other team because we were most of the time doing two a days, and
Mhm.
on top of that, I was in the gym, doing extra work, and so I wasn't able to really spend any extra time doing anything else other than recovering
Yeah.
and getting ready for the next day. We're doing CrossFit workouts and stuff, man. In season, bro. Killing it, man.
It's
Killing it.
dead. It's dead.
Yeah, bro. So it was a complete 180-degree shift. Um, but it allowed me to really hone in on becoming a student of the game.
Mhm.
And it definitely helped me take the next step, even though um, you know, it was very difficult for somebody who is used to being in the gym every day. And
Yeah, man. I'd say yeah, it's so crazy. Like I'd say even the same thing for me, bro. Like now that you speaking about it, like with your second team, bro, like there'd be times where I'm just sitting there and I'm like, bro, I'm trying to go to the gym. Like I'm just sitting there, like I'm not doing anything. But it'll be like we're just resting. Like we'll have a stretch of games, and like after the games, we'll just be chilling. And me, like I came in really trying to put in like laser focused. Like the only thing I'm trying to do is either hoop or be working on something like this. You know what I'm saying? Like I literally like social as far as like being social and all that kind of stuff. Like I'm social around the people I'm around, but I'm not really like seeking that out, especially like with that year. I was just really trying to stay focused. So like on the weekends, my teammates be trying to go out and hang out and all that kind of stuff. And I'm like I do, but at the same time, like I'm really trying to get the most out of this year. Like going back to what I said, like about the identity stuff, bro. Like for me, I realized like I didn't realize then that I was a gen rat. Like I already understood that, but I just wanted to get better. I just wanted to see like my mentality on it was just like, all right, how good can I get from here, point A to point B, and what progression, and then I'll live with the results of whatever happens then. And I mean, I don't regret it. I don't regret it now. I mean, we don't know what's happening. So I'd say I made the best out of it, out of the situation for sure, bro. But I think one thing I was wanting to say to you as you were saying that, bro, like I really respect that, you're able to take this step out. I mean, in high school, bro, like I know when me and you graduated, we were one of the only few to like really differentiate from the norm. Like there's only a handful of us that chose not to, really elect to go to a traditional school and go that route and really like forge our own paths. So it's great to hear that like there's a lot of growth involved. Like there's a lot of courage that you got to have to even like think about doing that and just owning up to be your own person to do that. So I respect you for that for sure.
Yeah, man, I definitely appreciate that, and it was a big step for me for sure. It didn't feel like it in the moment, but just kind of seeing the growth of my game that was allowed to develop. Man, it was huge. It was huge, and as you guys heard, it definitely was not perfect,
Mm-hmm.
but hey, definitely worth it, man. And now it's crazy to say it's even put me into a position uh, where I could possibly be drafted in the 2020 draft, and so I'm going through that process right now. And man, it's definitely surreal. It's definitely surreal. And I can't wait to see what else is in store. Man, I'm loving it. But man, we got a lot more left for you guys. We're gonna take a quick little break, a little intermission. Uh, you can pause the video real quick and grab you some popcorn because we got some more stuff in store. But we'll see you guys when we get back.
It's time to write your story. Time to let your imagination go. Where do you want to live? What car do you want to drive? What places do you want to see? It's all up to you now. It's your story to write. Leave the story of your past behind and write a new one. And be ready to live what you write, because this story will be like no other. But it will share one thing with all of their stories. This story will start with a hero, and that hero is you.
What's good, everybody, and welcome back to the Fresh
Squeeze
podcast. Got my water with me, got some energy going. We back into it. Before we get started again, make sure you guys go like and subscribe and comment any questions you got on the post down below. Let us know, like we've been saying, man. Keep the energy up, build the community, interact with us, man. Let's get it. But to head back into it, man. A post-grad year, just in general, like prep school, man. It's in essence of it is just like another year of high school. If you weren't like basically if you were held back, if you needed grades, or you basically missed a year of school. And in my case, my grades were fine. I'm academically eligible with all my NCAA courses, all that kind of stuff. But the reason I really chose to take a gap year is because I missed my junior year because I broke my leg. So really, I only had 3 years of high school athletically. So really, this is my senior year, if you want to add it up. So, and with my age, I'm only 18. I was on the young side, so it really added up for me. So if that benefits you, uh, talking to you guys in the audience watching, if it benefits you, go ahead and take that. Just build your connections and find out um, where you can go or what you want to do. It's basically like whatever you need. If you need school, uh, or just what I needed, just the development and area to isolate yourself and really just work on your game. It's probably the best route for you. But like I said, it's just all about connections. Even like everything you do is about connections nowadays. Everybody is skilled. Everybody is able to play. It's just about who you know and who knows you. I mean, it's the same thing with getting overseas or just getting in college. Guys are just they're all fighting for the same spots. So it's just who you know that can get you in, basically. But you just gotta make sure you got the work, you put in the work to get where you're at. I mean, it's the same thing, with Ant. I'm sure he'll talk about like he already has said, that he has to have like you have to have people know you over there. You have to prove yourself over there, and that's one of the things you got to do as a young guy moving on. And for me, going into college is going to be the same, if not very similar to how his rookie campaign was. So I look forward to taking on that challenge for sure, man. But and like you were saying, you want to build on the connections topic.
Yeah, man. It's I'm trying to think of like a percentage. I want to say it's like in the 90s. Dang, D Wade.
Oh no!
Dang.
Oh,
Tough.
yeah. RIP. Say RIP in the comments for D Wade, man. He's
Hey,
been one.
you've made it this far. Put put RIP D Wade in the comments. People who didn't make it that far are gonna be confused. But like I was saying, man, I want to say it's about 90% connections, really, because like you said, it's all connections because everybody can hoop, man. Everybody can hoop, everybody can play. And at the end of the day, it's about how you present yourself
Yeah.
and what connections you have and how you capitalize on the opportunities you get.
Mhm.
Because you never know who is watching. You literally never know. The way I got my first contract, like I said, I was at home base at my grandmother's house, and you know, I was actually biking around 30 kilometers a day, uh, back and forth to the Olympic training facility in the summer to get my workouts in. Like I said, man, it was hard. You could not get into a gym, so I had to do whatever was necessary to get my work in. And I'm just up there one day, and one of the coaches from the league I ended up signing with was in there, and I had already tried out for his team. And that was a whole crazy situation in itself. He invited me out there. It was actually Dirk Nowitzki, my favorite player of all time. It was actually his former club. They invited me out to a tryout, and I I felt I played really well. Um, and he was like, "Yeah, you'd fit in great. Only problem is we got 7 guards." And I'm like, "Well." So I came out here 2 hours for me to come out here and play and do well and kind of lock in. For you to tell me y'all got 7 guards, so I'm like, man, why was I put in that situation? I felt like I wasted my time. But turns out he's there, and I'm working out, and he comes up to me, and I'm not gonna lie to you guys, and I'm not gonna lie to you, like I did not want to talk to him at that point. I'm like, dude, you wasted a lot of my time, really a whole day, because I took that trip out there, to look at the facilities and practice and basically for you to tell me like, all right, it wasn't gonna work out anyways. I just kind of wanted to see where you were at. It's like, why, But the end of the day, he puts me in contact with the first team I signed with. So you never know who's around, you never know who's watching, and you just got to be ready at all times for an opportunity to come up. And that is proving so true in my day-to-day life right now. And we're gonna get into that as well. Kind of dealing with the quarantine time in a future episode. But man, just staying ready because right now with everything on hold with the draft and even with the leagues overseas, I got to be ready, at a moment's notice because you never know when that opportunity is going to knock. And when it knocks, you want to be ready for it,
Yeah,
even if it's not ideal. So, yeah, man, connections and opportunities, main things, man, because if you're sitting here watching this podcast, as a basketball player, you probably are putting in the work, and you probably are a pretty high level player. So it's really about getting out there and showing as many people what you can do and making those connections. Then
Hey, man, network, that is the main key. If anything, just network, get your stuff out there, get your film sent out there, do everything you can. Like, just get plugged in. If somebody knows you and you're known by the next guy, even if like they're gonna take you over the guy that they never heard of. So just make sure you get your connections right for sure. That's the main thing. We're gonna keep you real on the fresh squeeze, man. We gotta let you know.
definitely got to keep it real at all times, man. Definitely got to keep it real. I got a question for you, man. Major differences in the prep game versus the high school game. And I mean, for those of you guys who don't know, a little background information on our high school, it was a private school, and we played against some high level teams, played against a lot of NBA players, a lot of future NBA players. So yeah, pretty high level basketball, but I'm sure there were some differences. You care to kind of go into detail on those?
I mean, yeah, bro. I mean, it just depends on who we played. Like, so the way our schedule was, we would play a lot of like we either play a lot of the other post grad teams. So like that's this level of basketball, and then we play like JUCO teams, which are like grown men. So obviously the main difference there is just the physicality. So if your body type isn't ready to really tag that on, then it's really prepping you. I mean, that's why it's called prepping you. It's really prepping you for that next year. I say for me, thankfully, my body was able to be developed, and I work on my body, so I was able to sustain and do what I did out there on the court. But that's probably the main difference. I'd say is just the physicality of the game. Like some games, I'm looking, I got the hardened beard, like I said in the last episode, coming in,
Oh,
but play. But I look like that. I look like that. And so I look like I'm like 20 something, 22, something like that. But in general, like I'm only 18 and I'm playing against, some 20-year-olds, 21-year-olds, like going beyond that. So in that way, it's a higher level. But as far as the type of players that you face, uh, compared to high school, it's not that different. Because a lot of the guys are like my age, that are actually playing on the post grad team. So it's essentially like we're playing high school again, literally. So uh, as far as like actually playing, the pace of the game is pretty similar. It's really like an AAU game to those guys in high school that are playing AAU. It's just like an AAU game. Um, Travel basketball, you getting up, traveling. Like I was in North Carolina, so we played Huntington Prep, Oak Hill. Those drives are long as ever. Would never live in the mountains. Would never live in freaking Mount Wilson, Virginia, wherever Oak Hill is. That is dead. Huntington Prep is dead as well. That is crazy. Those drives are like horrendous, but uh, it's all worth it for the basketball world, honestly. I mean, but you're able to focus in those places, so it's worth it. But um, that's pretty much the only differences I've really seen. Like it was pretty similar to high school in a way. The same talent, like the highest level guys, uh, well, that were deemed the highest level, I mean, pretty similar to the high school guys. So that's about all I got on that. What about you?
Man, bro, like, what was I like third tallest dude on our team?
Something like that, bro. They had you playing four.
Yeah, bro. And that like I said, bro, we'll say it. We'll say it a lot of times. You know, that's something we'll talk about on a later episode. You know, our whole high school experience. And I'm going from, you know, tallest dudes we playing against most games. Like I said, you know, we played IMG Academy and stuff like that as well. But most games, tallest guy like 6'5", you know, 6'5", 6'7" maybe. Well, we going in, man, 6'11". I'm like, dude, I'm like second, nah, not second, third shortest, but like, you know, fourth shortest, fifth shortest on the team. Like, man, like, yes, because I don't have to play the four. At the same time, like, dang, you know, like, it's an adjustment thing for sure, going in there, finishing against the trees and stuff, man. Uh, Another thing, bro, Europe, hand checking, legal, legal. So, man, that was a whole thing, bro. They pick it up full court in practice, getting at you. And I'm a new point guard out here getting picked up full court by a dude moving his feet, you know, hand checking 24/7. I'm like, man, like, but that's why I felt like this situation was really perfect because a bunch of young, hungry guys for the most part, and they were gonna go at you at practice, man. They were gonna go at you. A lot of guys who took pride on the defensive end. So for me, it was perfect. You know, learning to play point guard and learning to deal with that pressure, man. Um, yeah, it was huge. And you know, of course, if those guys are applying pressure to me, I got to learn how to apply pressure on the other end. And that was a huge development in my game as well, because I felt like I always had the athletic potential to play defense, but you know, those certain angles and how to cut guys off, I just didn't have the experience doing that. And yeah, man, it really helped the confidence in myself, you know, guarding full court and doing all that. And that's something I don't think I'll ever forget how to do because it was just drilled into me. Another thing for sure is the spacing is a lot different. Um, Neither one of my teams was tremendous spacing wise, but definitely better than high school, and that's 100% expected. But there's definitely better out there, and playing against teams that space the floor is also very difficult, you know, defensively, because you got to be on your P's and Q's, man. And if you're in the wrong spot, you're gonna get picked apart if the point guard is smart enough, man. So just really paying attention to detail and watching film and being prepared just became such a huge factor that it wasn't really in high school. Like, we watched film as a team, but nobody was really, you know, studying film because I'm not gonna say it wasn't as vital, but it wasn't as vital as it is in the professional game, man. Because if you don't know the other team's sets, bro, if you don't know when they call horns down, too low option swing, that you get back screened after 4 skip passes, I mean, you getting subbed probably because they just threw a oop and your big got posterized and got his 4th foul, and that's on you. So it was huge, man. It was huge. Great learning experience, and I didn't expect it to be that different from high school, but at the same time, I was surprised at how well I was able to adjust to it.
Right.
I was a lot of my skills were able to translate directly. I was able to get to the cup way easier than I thought I would, and yeah, man, I think it's really helped my game. just taking that step and being forced to grow.
For sure, man. For sure, man. Well, before we wrap up, man, I'd just like to say thank you all for tuning in. If you made it to the end of this video, make sure you comment RPD Wade on the poster. Maybe we can get him, revitalized and ready to go for the next episode. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe down below. Comment on it. Let us know what you guys want to hear. Still getting into this, so we still getting to it, man. We getting to it, man. I'm inspired, motivated. I hope we motivated you guys to go do what you guys want to do, what you're passionate about for sure. And, make sure you subscribe and make sure you're on notification game. If you're not Noti Gang, you're not getting the squeeze when it's fresh. And if you're not getting the squeeze when it's fresh,
It's not us.
it's not us. We can't rock. But for now, that's it for me. Squeeze out.
Hey man, one more thing. Check out your boy Melvin's highlights. They're in the description. Check them out, man. Get the views up on that video. Man got game. Check them out. Share it with your friends. It's quarantine time still. If you're watching this at a later date, y'all know how it was in the quarantine times. Also, make sure ask any questions that you have about prep or playing overseas in the comments. Be glad to answer any extra questions. And if there were any topics that popped into your mind that y'all want us to cover, please do engage in the comment section and let us know. Like I said, man, we might just be so inspired that we just go ahead, hop on another Zoom call, record it, edit it, and post it for you guys. That's why you got to be in that Noti Gang. But that's all from us on the Fresh
Squeeze
podcast. I appreciate y'all staying all the way to the end. We signing off.
Aha.